That's something that, a lot of artistic creative people do, is like they'll use a breakup, they'll write a song about it, or make a movie about it. I've written scripts
Yeah.
inspired by heartbreak, but I haven't filmed them yet. I'm still debating about whether to do it or not. But that's one thing that, if anyone listening is going through a heartbreak or something, like, don't try to force it. If it's not going to work, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Instead, try to use that pain to create something, whether it's a painting, a song, a movie, whatever. Like, use that to your advantage.
Yeah.
You could become successful because of that one song. I mean, Taylor Swift, she uses like all her exes for songs. Like, come on. So I mean, my stand-up comedy, I've talked about, guys who, it didn't work out. Use it to your advantage. And those feelings, like, pain, any hurtful feelings or anger or anything, like, you need to get it out. It's not good to bottle it up, but don't get it out in a violent way. If you can get it out through art, it's a lot better.
The thing that I had easiest access to was a school. So I was like, I'm going to make my characters teachers, obviously, because I have access to a school. I used to be a substitute teacher. And so I just spoke to the assistant principal, and I was like, hey, I'm an indie filmmaker too, as well as being a substitute teacher. And I was like, I would be really grateful if you could allow me just some space in the school or something where I can film. And she was like, oh, let me see what I can do for you. And one day she was like, these rooms are going to be available if you want to use them. And that's how I was able to film inside the school.
Nice. So that's another tip for you aspiring filmmakers. Try to be resourceful and use what you have access to. Don't feel limited. I'm from a small town, and in my small town, the good thing about being if you live in a small town, please, if you live in a small town, you want to be a filmmaker, like, it's actually pretty cool to be from a small town, because you have access to a lot more locations, because people in small towns, they're not used to people filming there. So they are going to be so excited. And you're like, can we film this, something here or whatever? They're going to be like, yes, please. They're going to be like so excited. They're like, can we be in it? Whereas like if you're trying to get, in LA, New York, Chicago, they're gonna be like, where's your permit? You need to pay all this money, blah, blah. They're very suspicious, and they're so used to people filming that, like, they're gonna try to get like any money out of you. And then if you're, starting out, you don't have a lot of money. So try to take advantage, not like in a bad way, but like just make use of what you have available to you if you're in a small town, or maybe if you know someone who lives in a small town, and see if you can maybe just talk to the people there, strike up some kind of deal, and they'll let you film there. And that's something that I've done, filming in my small town, and people there freak out. Like, I just have like a DSLR Canon, which is like, it's pretty good, but it's not like, the IMAX camera or anything. And people like see you filming, and like people are just like slowing down their car. They're like stopping. They're like, what are you guys filming? I was like, oh my God. Like, are you guys famous? Whereas, like, if I was doing that in LA, I'd have cops be like, where's your permit? Or people would be like, get out of here with your stupid camera. But in a small town, they're like, oh, are you guys famous? So, be resourceful. That's a good thing.
Yes. Be resourceful, honestly. There's a quote, I don't remember who said it, but it's a quote that I play in my mind every single time that I try to do something. It is, the worst thing they can say to you is no, And so that was my state of mind. That was my train of thought when I was looking for locations for my movie, because I had several locations for it. And so I finally got over my shyness and my embarrassment of asking people, because it's like, before I was like, no, can't ask them. That's so embarrassing. What if they say no? And it's like, that's the thing. Like, that's the worst thing they can say is no.
And always be kind, respectful if you can. Like, if a business is nice enough to let you film there for free, like, at least buy some food or something, like, just to kind of help them out. And like, don't be a douchebag about it. Like, take advantage and be like, all right, bye, thanks for letting us like film for free. Like, give something back to the business. Maybe, like, I don't know, shout them out on social media, like, just something to give back to them, because that's really, really kind thing that they're doing. So yeah, I don't like to see people getting taken advantage of. So give back. If someone is nice to you, please give back to them, show appreciation. Well, that's cool. You got like someone to actually like, make music for you. Cause yeah, I think that's always the best way. I've done that before too. I looked for in my documentary, that one. Well, I think the both ones I've done. Yeah, I had a guy compose music for them, and it's worth it. If you do have to pay them, I think it's definitely worth it, just because like a lot of the royalty free stuff just sounds royalty free. Like you don't want people to like hear it and then be like, oh, this sounds like a royalty free music. You don't, because that's gonna take you out of the movie. Like this, like at least for me, when I'm very into music, so when a lot of times like certain royalty free songs are used so much that like I'm like, this is royalty free. I've heard this like 10 million times. So if you can, please get someone, if you don't have, that big of a budget, yeah, get a music student in college or something like that. It's definitely worth it. Try to give them maybe like samples. If you're not really good at explaining what you want, like just kind of maybe show them with like a song, a sample, be like something similar to this to kind of describe a mood or something that might help them. So it's definitely worth it. I mean, no offense to those royalty free websites. Like I know they're trying to provide a service, but it's just so obvious. Like, especially Kevin McLeod, he's probably one of the most used royalty free artists. He's probably so rich off of royalty free. He's everywhere. I've seen him on his stuff is on YouTube, TikTok, like yeah.
I've never heard of him, but I'm pretty sure I probably would have heard his sound, I'm sure.
Yeah. Somewhere. At least he's making bank right now. It's like, yeah. That's kind of what I've learned too, is just kind of go for the smaller festivals, because usually those smaller festivals don't get as many submissions, so you're more likely to like get on because there's less competition. Whereas eventually it'd be nice to get to Sundance, Tribeca, and things like that, Cannes. But I feel like it is good. It's nothing bad, it's good to just start small, hopefully get on several festivals, get some wins at the smaller ones, because they can add up and it'll probably increase your chances of later on getting into the bigger festivals. So and we have to show those smaller film festivals some love, because I volunteered at some of those, and they put a lot of work into it, and mostly everyone working on them is not getting paid. So it's good to show them some love. So if you are a filmmaker, don't look down on those film festivals. They are probably like usually like really supportive, and so yes, don't feel afraid or ashamed to submit to those smaller ones.
For sure. Yes, they are a great way to start, to put your product out there, and you just never know. You never know who might be in the audience, who might be watching this, and might want to, like give you some like extra money to make your film even better later on, or something, or connect and do something else. Yeah. And film festivals are pretty good I don't know about the online ones as much, but because, you couldn't really be there, but usually, film festivals, they'll have like a party or something like that. And it's good for networking. If you see someone's film and you like theirs, you can like talk to them about it, or if someone likes your film, you can talk to them about it. And it's a good way to connect with all filmmakers, actors. So definitely network. Great way to network. Yep. So you were like a one man band. Yes, I was a one-man band, and I did it all by myself for the most part, which was really fulfilling, but also really hard, because I missed a lot of things. There are a lot of little details that I missed, and having to be, cinematographer, and having to be the camera person. Like I missed sometimes things from my actors that later on, when I was editing, I saw and I was like, oh crap. But the biggest thing was sound. That was you need to invest in someone who can do sound. That's a big tip I tell people. It's like sound is so important. And I worked at a company, I was an editor, and they were basically shooting a lot of shows, and I was editing them. And they would not invest in good sound, so they had a lot of sound issues, and it was annoying because they
like wanted me to fix all the sound issues, but it's like I can only do so, you can only do so much in post. So the rule with sound is you have to get the best sound you can while you're there, and then hopefully you don't have to do as much tweaking later, but like don't like get awful sound and then be like, oh, the editor's gonna fix it. Like you can't, no, you can't, like you can't do that. Like that's one of my worst, like whenever I hear someone say, oh, we'll fix it in post, I'm like, I hate you, I hate that person. Like that is so messed up. That's one reason I stopped like editing. It's just like you can't do that to people, to the editor, and just be like, yeah, it's okay, we can do a horrible job, like the editor's gonna fix it. It's like you can only do so much, especially with sound. You can't add like that many filters and things like that because it's gonna sound bad. So
yes. And that was definitely a big mistake, learning experience from that, to get someone who actually knows how to do sound, so that you're not, I mean, most of the sound was not bad, but there is just areas where there was a lot of wind, or where there was really loud and noisy in the background, where I really could have used someone who like actually knows how to sound, a sound mixer, to mix the sound and check for those loud noises, and just mic up my actors, because I did do that for the bar scene, but even then, like it wasn't, I think maybe the mics weren't like great quality and stuff, because they still picked up some not so great sounds.
So that's definitely worth it. I've worked and met like guys who are just sound people, like that's all they do, and they're really good to have on set because they will, they'll have the headphones on with the boom and they'll be like, okay, stop filming, because they'll hear some random like of an ambulance, a plane or something. And it might be annoying, you might want to film, but you know what, if you didn't have that sound guy, you would have gotten that in your movie. So it's definitely worth it to invest. Like I think like if you have a small budget and you don't have that much, like at least get a good sound person, because I feel like that will really help the quality of whatever you're working on. Like if you're watching something and the sound is bad, it really takes you out of it. Like you could have, that's one thing that bothered me about this company that I worked for. Like they had great footage, it was beautiful, they had all these great cameras, but the sound was awful. And I'm just like and I tried for 6 months to get them to invest in a sound guy, and they didn't. And that's one reason I left that company. I was like, I'm tired. Like it's not fair that I have to like pick up all the slack because you're cheap, to like invest in a sound guy. So that's another tip. And I definitely agree that, I, as someone who, I've done for a lot of projects, like, everything. Like in the music video that I recently made for my birthday, I did everything all by myself. And if you saw in the credits, I like put my nails and everything. And I did that on purpose to let people know, like, I literally did this all by myself. I was wardrobe, hair, like director, editor, cinematographer, everything. But in other projects, actor, So when I have, gotten, my other documentaries I had, separate camera guy, sound guy, and oh my gosh, it was so worth it, because you get people who are good at what they do. Get a person who's into, shooting, like that's all they do, that's what they love. Get them to do that, trust them. Get someone who's really into sound, that's all they do, that's what they love, and then get them and trust them. And that way you can really focus more on directing, and it feels so nice. Like it's just, like you have all this weight lifted off your shoulders, like, you can really focus on directing. Or when even with like directing and acting, I've done that too. And when I have to do both, I usually try to get like a co-director, because it's kind of hard to like, I just like, if I'm on camera, I need someone else, another director behind the camera to kind of, get their feedback. So that's one thing I like to do. So if you can, please don't think that you know everything. Like it's really good to get other people on there, because I've worked with directors who like, they're doing it because they're just too cheap. It's not like, if I had the money, I would pay them. Even if they had the money, they still don't want to pay people. They're just being really cheap, and then they end up doing everything, and then it doesn't come out as good. And I'm just like,
that's terrible. Yes. No. You need people. You need people. It's great to be a one-man band, learn from that experience, but you definitely need people. It definitely makes your job. If all you want to do is be a director, it makes the job of being a director so much easier. If all you want to do is be like a cinematographer and just you work with the camera, then yeah, it makes it so much easier. Just have other people work on that other stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I also edit my own stuff, and I know that feeling because you know, going back and having to listen to this audio, and have to split it, and then having to do all these things. It's a lot of work, you know, that can be avoided if you do things
Yeah.
the first time.
I know, like, if, when you're beginning, yeah, it's kind of like you have to, but like once you start getting more experience, hopefully you get like a budget. If please don't think that, everything. Like get people on your team, get some good people. Obviously, like make sure they're good, look at their
Mm-hmm.
have them show you samples of their work, but like, and then if you get people, like, trust them. That's one thing I hate, is when people micromanage, or they're like helicopter like all over you. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
if you hire someone, like, trust them. It's so annoying, like, as someone who's has worked for people, like as an editor, like, trust me, I know what I'm doing. Why did you hire me if you're just gonna be like hovering over my shoulder? Like,
Yeah.
so if you're gonna hire someone, trust them. Don't, like, go focus on whatever you're doing, but don't, because people are not gonna want to work for you, just
If you're
if
my,
you're
yeah, no, yeah, definitely have to trust the people to do what you know already kind of told them out. You gave them your idea, what you want to see, then trust them to do that part.
yeah. And I have not been disappointed. Like, when I got good camera guys, I told them what I wanted. They did it. And then I got my footage and I was so happy. So, number one, make sure you get some good people that you hire. And then when you do, trust them. don't don't hover over them, because that's annoying.